dry, cakey concealer, it's no one's friend. Hey everyone, okay, so today we're talking dry, cakey, just concealer and what to do about it. So here's a little quick tip on how to deal with it, because it is relatively easy to remedy, but give it a go before you go, I ain't trying that gossy. You never know, you might like it. This can be done either before you set or after you set. Now, if you do it after you set, as in you've put powder on, don't be like pumping out a pound of oil and then going, this didn't work, because it's not going to work. What you need to do is use the bare minimum. So here's the trick. What you need to do is, you've done your concealer, you want to place a single drop of oil and place it on the back of your hand, your palm, your finger, wherever you want. But you then need to blend it in. So you need to get it onto your fingertips so that it is on there. And then you need to dab it off. So you want to remove the bulk of the oil because we've set the concealer already. Then all you need to do is go in with your finger that has the bare minimum amount of oil on and tap underneath the eye. You will not disrupt this layer of concealer if done gently. And for those of you over a certain age, my age and above, I suppose, what can I say? I'm like a fine wine, bitter. So just really gently tap it under, and it will make the world of difference if your concealer is dry looking, is cakey looking, or it is absorbing light and not in a good way. So it's making the under eye area look older than it really is. If that's the case, this tip can really, really help. But I cannot stress enough the importance of the bare amount of oil. You don't want to go, because everything's going to go everywhere. It is the faintest of touches. It's just enough to replenish moisture. Now, will this work with a setting spray or other emollient? It will absolutely. But this works a little bit better just because the oil gives a slight, because we're doing a tiny bit, it just gives a slight shine underneath the eyes, and that can work beautifully, especially if there's under eye wrinkling and the concealer area is very, very dry. Give it a go. You'd be crazy not to. No one wants that, do they? Not me. Before we go, look at this, right? I got sent this from Bliss, which is really nice. It's called Your Situation Down Below Hair Softening Oil. I kid you not. Look at that. It's for your hair down there. I have never heard of such a thing. Let's have a whiff, shall we? Ylang ylang. I'm telling you, if somebody gets a little whiff down there with this on, they're in for a treat. Woo! Because usually it's quite fruity. So this time it's going to smell of ylang ylang. Somebody's in for a treat tonight. Not really. Forever alone. See you next time. Bye-bye. Hey everyone. So if you've made it to the end, this is a bonus segment. Now if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. But this section is with regard to a lady that left a comment on my recent video, and it was so deeply negative. And I wanted to address it for myself. And it was regarding my makeup brushes and how I should be ashamed of myself because of the costings, and it's outrageous and shame on you. So I wanted to mention it because I have never really talked about this. So here's my opportunity. So if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. When I first wanted to create makeup brushes, and I've wanted to for a long time, I had an agent at the time, and I mentioned it to him, and he said, great, we will get you in Boots, we can get you in Superdrug, we can get you in all these stores. The problem is that I wouldn't own the brushes. They would be private label brushes. My name would be stamped on them. They would go out. That's about my input. I could pick the types that I wanted, but that was my input. That was never going to happen because I know how makeup brushes are created, really good ones. It just didn't sit well with me. Now, the benefits to that is you're in global stores and there's no risk to you. So if it all goes tits up, it doesn't matter. You're not out of pocket. But I didn't want to do that. So I said to him, I'm going to do this on my own. He was like, great, it'll be a passion project. Just go for it. And I did. Now, there are 3 manufacturers in Japan. That's where I went to. I know people think that they're just made here or here, but they're not. They're dispersed depending on the brush and my requirements. And that's what I did. Now, the brushes in their entirety, every single brush is self-funded by myself. No one else is involved. There's no agents, there's no PR machine, there is nothing. And the first round, I put my entire savings in it, and that's everything I had, which was £20,000 or just over. And then I got a loan because I didn't have enough in order to create the brushes. It's that simple. So I got a loan and I put every penny I had into it. And the first round of brushes were created. And this is where it gets interesting, because a lot of people don't realize this, that mass production of generic brushes. So I'm going to give you an example, a foundation brush. A generic foundation brush usually costs about $1 to make. And then it's retailed from anywhere between 20 to 50 depending on the brand. So there's a huge markup. Now, if you take that dollar and times it by 16 and then add tax, VAT, import duties, shipping, and that's before I've even sold it to Beautylish. No one is getting rich from the makeup brushes. They are incredibly expensive to make. They are all handmade. 21 people touch a single brush before it's complete. So that's how many people work on it. So, and when you compare my brushes to other brands, they are especially sort of the more higher end brands, they are reasonably priced. They're the same price as MAC. My brushes tend to be a little bit cheaper than Charlotte Tilbury. They are well priced, but you're getting a really, really incredible quality brush. And I'm very proud of them because I did it myself. They are, again, self-funded, and everything that I'm going to do in the future will be self-funded, because I don't want somebody coming in and saying, you can't do that, do it this way. And it worries me. I trademarked my name, so that bit was protected. But here's another thing that people don't get, because people still think that the brushes are a part of something else. Now, when you work with an agent, and there's nothing wrong with working with agents, they're oftentimes able to get you really, really good deals and get you into places you wouldn't necessarily be able to get to without them. And people don't realize that it is a complicated process. So here's an example. Let's say you've got a product line, and whatever it is, let's just say it's a moisturizer, and it is done with another company, okay? So it's not yours, it's done with another company. Now this is just a generic example, but it's incredibly accurate. So you have sold $1 million worth of this moisturizer, which is great. The problem is that you don't receive that million. You receive 10% of the million, usually. Sometimes it can be lower, but let's just say 10% because that's the average. So you've received $100,000 of payment, but that's not real, because oftentimes you receive 10% of what it costs to make. So let's half that again. So now you've got $50,000. So they've made $1 million, and so they should. They put all the money and time into it. You've made $50,000, but then you have to pay your agent 25% of your $50,000. So you can see that it's an incredible process. And it was a process that I didn't want to be involved in with regards to my brushes, not because I didn't want to share, but because everything was taken out of my hands. I would have no say in anything, and that really bothered me. And the first 2 rounds of brushes came and went and they sold, and I never spent any of the profit. What I did was I put it back into the brushes, because originally the brushes were they were hot stamped, which looks great, but the name can be scratched off if you're a little bit too heavy-handed with it. So I put the profit back in and then had them lasered on. So that was where the money went. And since then, I've not spent a single penny of any profit. And there's a reason for that. There is other stuff coming, and the process has been laborious and tiresome and expensive, and that's the problem. I knew that I was going to create other things, but I didn't want anyone else to be involved, because I didn't want the input of a company telling me what I could and couldn't do, so I decided to do it on my own. And I'm now literally back at square one again, because I'm going to be self-funding it, but I just received confirmation that I need to spend £32,000 on a stamp. And I can't get away from that. It has to be stamped. So 32,000. So I'm back at square one because I'm going to be using every single penny that I've got of my savings to create this next project. Plus I need a loan. So I've got to go back to the bank and ask for a loan. And it is bothersome, but it means that everything that's coming is mine. No one else is involved with it. And that will always be incredibly important to me, that I keep control of what is being made, whether it's brushes or anything else, that I'm overseeing every aspect of it. And that's where we are today. And that is the truth about the brushes. They are expensive, but they're no more expensive than any other really good brand. But mine are handmade, all by artisans, and I pay for everything. And I want it to stay that way, because then you know what you're getting and I know what I'm producing, and that's how it is. So thank you for listening. Sorry it went on, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.